You forgot the first rule of remakes, Jill. Don't fuck with the original.
Hey everyone, welcome to Don't F with the Original!
With Nicholas, I'm the gaming correspondent for Idiomatic.
And I am Dimitri, editor-in-chief of Idiomatic and film critic. And today we are talking about the movie that came out before Baz Luhrmann's 3D extravaganza, The Great Gatsby. We are of course talking about The Great Gatsby with Robert Redford.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Can you describe the plot?
Yes, I can describe the plot. The Great Gatsby is the story of a dude named Gatsby, who's a mysterious guy who throws cool parties.
Yep.
And all he wants really is to nail that one chick that lives in the hill next door.
Yeah, across the lake, I think. Doesn't she live across the lake?
And she lives across the lake. Well, the way it's described in the book is that there's a lake that separates two hills.
Oh, okay. Cool.
The movie places more emphasis on the lake than the hills, and that's probably because it would have been really hard to find two hills that match the description.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And he's sort of this dude who was not very rich before and became rich after the war.
Yeah.
And now he's trying to impress her with these parties, but it's so vain, the lifestyle of this woman, these socialites. They just go to these parties and they don't care anything, and then they leave. And they're empty, and they're bland, and they're this dude who's our point of view character, who befriends Gatsby, but doesn't really understand him. And then things happen, and he doesn't understand anymore, and neither do we, so we don't give a flying fuck.
Exactly. It is scary that our point of character is the only one that even takes the time to know Gatsby at the party. Yeah. Even once he meets him, I'm looking for Gatsby. He's like, that's me. You're like, oh, sorry. Yeah, Gatsby throws the parties not because he likes the parties, just to impress maybe try to attract the girl. And,
it's Daisy, right?
Daisy, yeah. Who's married to Tom now.
Yeah.
This was a weird movie for me. Because you described The Great Gatsby as this great novel with all the imageries and, well written, and it's great because of the way it's written.
Yes.
I don't see how that could translate in the movie. It looked good. It looked spectacular. It was well shot. That's the only thing I could say. It looked good. It looks like appropriate for the time. But I did not see the imagery that was all in the book that you mentioned. It's just weird.
Yeah, no, that's the big problem with it. A little bit of context for those of you who haven't heard me rave about The Great Gatsby in the Dreamer's Edge podcast. Here's the thing about it. The Great Gatsby is one of my favorite novels. It's a modernist novel by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and what it is, it's modernism on paper. Because the idea here is that you have this narrator who's like, I met this dude, Gatsby. He's kind of interesting. I sort of kind of like him, I guess. But he never really gets to know him. He tries so hard, but it's just, even what he does know, he can't translate onto paper.
Yeah.
And it's the idea of how isolated we are because of the limitations of our point of view.
Okay.
This dude cannot describe Gatsby accurately because he doesn't know him enough, and also because Gatsby is sort of beyond words because he's, at the same time, this larger-than-life figures that he created, and this sort of pathetic man that really needs to get over this chick,
Yeah, indeed. That's a good point.
And the book is full of these ideas of, how we are limited in our perception. There's this amazing scene that they've actually tried to reproduce in the movie, which makes me laugh to no end. But there's this dude. He's called the Big Barnacle Man. And he's like, hey, have you seen these forgeries? They're amazing. I was like, what are you talking about? And he goes look at the library. He's like, yeah, these books. Yeah, look at the books, okay? Look, you open them, there are pages in it. Yeah, and there's writing in it. Yeah, isn't that a perfect forgery? And it's like, no, that's a fucking book, asshole. But that's the idea. The idea is that a book is a forgery because it pretends to tell you something about life, but it's a forgery of life.
Okay.
And then you have this entire conversation about this guy who's like, these forgeries are amazing. It has writing and a story in it and everything. And you're like, what are you talking about, you drug addict?
Yeah. In the movie, that makes very little sense.
Yeah.
And it's because he should have been in a movie theater. Like, look at all these movies. Look, they're all fakes. And, you know, then I don't know if it would have worked or not, but, it would have been more apt, I guess.
It would have been closer to what was intended, certainly.
Yeah, exactly. I could see the guy, like, just pulling out. It's like, look at these movies. You can actually see the action in them. And he's just unrolling film after film. It's like, but, yeah, it was just, and if you just take it on the basis of the story, it's not a very good story.
Well, no, it's just like, it's 6 parties in a row and then a suicide. But spoiler alert, people.
No, it's not suicide, it's a murder.
It's never made clear, actually.
That's a good point, but, I think it's the guy that he hits the girl on the way back, and I think the guy wants to take revenge, but not quite. You're right. It's not sure. Yeah, they have a good point there. Spoiler alert.
Okay, so it's 6 parties and a death.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And in the meantime, you meet other characters that are like, well, okay. You meet like the main point character has this girl, Jordan Baker, I think her name is.
Yeah.
She's completely useless.
Yeah, the women do not come off well in that. I mean, like, and it's a product of its time. I don't begrudge it, but wow.
Yeah, I know. These days, you would probably call them gold diggers.
You would. No, you totally would. If a woman behaved this way today, she would be a gold digger. But we're talking about pre-World War II, when the only source of income a woman has for a stable life is a husband. Yeah. In which case, they are not gold diggers, they are survivors.
Yeah, but Jordan's a professional golfer. And that's in the book, so I'm kind of cheating. But, when somebody presents it to her, and the main character who's not that rich, he says, well, is she ever going to marry a guy that's poor? And then the guy says, oh, it's going to have to be an affair then, It's like, you have no chance with her, but, meet her anyway. But it's like, yeah, gold digging. It's fun.
But it's a way of life.
Yeah.
In that society. And the movie and the book are both very critical of it. Yes. But you make a good point. It is not an interesting story to watch because the thing about the book, and going back to the Barnacle Man and everything, it's all about, like, look at this forgery that you're holding in your own hands. Yeah. It's all about, like, look at what a failure my own book is, essentially. I'm desperately trying to communicate to you these visions and these understandings of life that I have, but I'm, like, trying to pick words, and I'm like, this is the best I can do here, and it's a failure. And it's an interesting thought, you know?
Yeah, but you think that translated in the movie? Look at all these images I filmed. They're trying to send you a message when I'm failing. Do you think that went through when you saw the movie?
Well, that's where I was leading to. I don't think the movie tries to do that. I think the movie tries really hard to say what a mysterious character Gatsby is.
Yeah. Spoiler, guys. He's a bootlegger. That's how he made his money. Okay, that's who Gatsby is, It's like, is that supposed to be the big shocker at the end, know? Especially since, he's being accused of being a bootlegger by a guy who basically inherited his money. You're like, well, who's the bigger asshole here? Seriously, at least he worked for his money. Come on.
And the thing is, when you present that kind of information in a movie, you're like, well, somebody said it, so I have to consider it.
Yeah.
In the book, where it's full of failed misinformation and, like, this dude going like, well, I heard this rumor and that rumor and that rumor. I don't know what's going on. The dude's dead. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sort of like when that guy says, I think he was a bootlegger. You're going like, yeah, but you're a prick, so why should I believe you? I still don't know what the hell happened.
Yeah.
Whereas in the movie, you're sort of going like, yeah, I guess he's a bootlegger, I guess. That makes him even less sympathetic, and I really didn't care in the first place, so whoops.
Actually, bootlegging is the only crime I don't really care about. So it's all good.
Well, that's a fair point, actually.
It's like, oh, gee, there was this prohibition thing that didn't last, and they were actually continuing providing alcohol to people. Well, so what?
Yeah, I mean, depends what level of bootlegging he was, because he might have been involved with organized crime, but...
I think they said in the movie he was just selling it, so it's like, I'm fine with it, I respect him more than you that inherited your cash. It's just it.
But that's the thing about the movie, it's every piece of information has to be taken at face value. Yeah. The movie never manages to get you to start doubting what you're watching. And so what you have is a story that just has holes in it and no interesting character because the character you never find out about them. And then it's going like, and that's the mystery. And I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
A mystery is something I care about and got involved in.
Indeed.
And let's talk about the performances a little bit. Robert Redford plays the Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
I think he's a great choice because he has that beautiful all-American face that feels like that dude has had a life.
Yeah.
But at the same time feels like that dude's rich. You know, like he has
That's a good point.
Yeah. And so he's a great choice, but man, it feels a little bit like he phoned it in. I don't know if it's because he was like, I'm going to play it mysterious, so you're not going to be able to tell.
That's probably it, you know, because if the point was him to be mysterious, you know, it's like, yeah, I guess it's hard to play mysterious, you know. That has to be the most boring thing ever for an actor. That, you know, you like to play roles and characters and like, play it mysterious. Okay.
And here's my thing with that. I think that's the wrong take. And it might not be Robert Redford's fault. It might be the director's fault who decided, no, play him as a mystery. Play him as an enigma. I think the right way to play Gatsby is not to play him as an enigma, but for him to come off as an enigma just the same. You want him to...
Oh, that's interesting.
Play him as a liar. Play him as a guy who's like, I'm having this great party, but like I'm shaking on the side, like I'm insecure, like I have these boiling emotions, like I'm about to blow a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm smiling and talking to you at the same time. Like play him like that, where there's something underneath, but never explain what's underneath.
That would make it for performance, so, you know, because he's giving too much information, and you have to filter out, you know, well, no, that's not true, this is true, and that's actually him. That would actually, you know, have been interesting, you know, get to discover who that guy is, you know, well, let's filter out the crap and, you know, get, you know, to the real thing. Who is the real Gatsby? That would have made it actually somewhat interesting. You'd still need a story to me, but, you know. Story to me, is the most important part of the movie, and it's lacking. But,
6 parties.
Yeah. Well, what other characters are there?
Wait, we have our main character.
Yeah.
What's his name again?
Nick Carraway, I think?
Yeah, that's it, Nick Carraway. He's good, actually. I liked him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a point of view guy. He's inquisitive. He's looking for info. That's all you ask for him.
And instantly sympathetic, which is important.
Yes, that is true. You know, you can see it when he at the first part, he's the only one who cares who Gatsby is. The other people are just interested in the party and at wrecking stuff, and he's like, I'm looking for the host to thank him. And I was like, oh, that's actually nice of you.
That's so depressing, those party scenes, because you're like, I'm looking for the host. Like, I don't know who that is. I'm just here at a party. Come on. It's like it's like the 30s version of Spring Break.
Yeah, I know. At one point, it starts raining, and they don't even use the door to come in. They crash through windows. It's like, oh my, use the door. You'll get wet a little bit, but come on. Just crash through the window. Like, it's raining. God.
They're such awful people.
I know. Just for that party scene where they wreck the mansion, it's almost worth it, but still, I mean. Then there's Daisy and Tom, which I don't remember at all. Daisy was blah to me. She's like...
Yeah, I agree.
Very, very bland. There's nothing special about her. Why was he so intrigued with that girl? She's very, very average to me.
Yeah, and again, I mean, if you're in keeping with the source material, you're never really supposed to fully understand what it is he likes about this girl. She's sort of vapid.
That's a good point.
But again, I think there's a difference between saying that the main character sees her as vapid, which he sort of says without saying, which is kind of clever. It's just one scene at the end where he just shakes his head. It's just like, and then I shook my head, and it's such a powerful moment. It's like, why did you feel the need to tell me that you shook your head? Because you're freaking incensed. That's why.
Yeah.
But in a movie, you gotta give a performance. Like, this woman has to be somebody. You have to hint at something that instead she's just sort of like, here's another vapid character in a long list of vapid characters.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we're repeating ourselves a little bit, and the reason for that is because this is not a plot movie. This is this is supposed to be a character study. It's certainly adapted as a character study. I'm not convinced that the novel is a character study.
Yeah.
But certainly the movie is built as a character study. And so there's no plot to talk about, and everything is just blah. And so we're just like, well, this happened and that was blah. And this happened and that was blah.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a bad adaptation of a challenging work is what it comes down to.
I actually don't think, I'm not even sure how you can adapt that. It's just, you would need like the best filmmaker ever, honestly, to make that work. That's crazy. There's certain things you can't translate. This isn't The Hobbit, okay? This is like very complex stuff that, it's not just, oh, okay, this is how the scene looks like. I'm going to make this scene exactly. No, there's more stuff to it. It's how it's written. It's how, it's what's written exactly. How he sees it. It's just not, okay, scene 1, there's a party. Scene 2, there's this. It's not enough.
Mm. No, you need a filmmaker that's willing to go off script, essentially, like, because it's a good representation of what the plot is in the book.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
And the problem being that the plot is not the point, so whoops.
Yes.
So what you need is somebody who's going to grasp the ideal and just go like, we're going to muck around with the plot and do something else. Because I'm thinking of another book that is another one of my great favorites that was adapted into a movie that is not adaptable. And the book is called The Life and Opinions of Tristram Shandy, Gentleman.
Okay.
And what it is the story of a guy who decides to write his autobiography. But he writes it in real time, essentially so that the more he writes, the more he's lived, because it took him time to write it. So that he never gets to the end of the book, and it starts frustrating him.
I see.
It's a comedy book. It's
yeah.
And he's not a good writer either, like not the author, but the fictional guy doing his autobiography.
Okay.
So at some points he just cheats and gets sort of confused and just like, and then I guess you could say like these years in my life, or sort of like this line, and then there's a page that's just like this like crooked line that goes into itself and goes in circles and everything. Yeah. It's like, yeah, that's best describes it. It was like, what does that mean, you jerk?
Nice.
Yeah, and it's all like that. And it's like, and he describes his birth as told by his parents and everything. And it's like, yeah, so I started this project wanting to get to all my life, and I just realized that it took me a year to describe, my birth. So now I have 1 year more of my life to write about, and that kind of sucks. Like, it's just this really funny book about these reflections.
Nice.
Of course, how do you make that into a movie,
Yeah, looking at somebody write and, reading what he wrote, it's kind of weird.
Here's what they did. The movie's called Tristram Shandy, A Cock and Bull Story, which is the name of the first chapter. And it's about a filmmaker who wants to adapt Tristram Shandy into a movie. And he really totally relates to it,
Okay.
Totally relates. And he's trying to make that movie. And you're watching the making of the movie that you're never going to see.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, you got what the book was about. Like, you got it.
Nice. Challenge. How do you do that for The Great Gatsby?
Exactly. How do you do that? Apparently, Hollywood studios' answer to that question is with big name actors and 3D.
Are you kidding me?
No.
3D.
3D.
Who wants to see The Great Gatsby in 3D?
I don't know, but that's funny.
Oh my god, I guess the book's in 3D. So, you hold the book, it's not 3D.
3D.
That's a step in the right direction. Who are the big name actors?
We got Leo DiCaprio as The Great Gatsby, which, let's talk about that.
I think he's somewhat overrated.
I actually think he's a good pick for it.
Right.
I mentioned earlier how you need somebody who can play a layer of intensity beneath a certain air of calm.
Yeah.
I think DiCaprio is particularly good at doing that.
I know. I think sometimes he just phones it in, though. Sometimes, in certain things, he plays these very good. Other things, it's like, oh, is that this just a paycheck for you? So I'm hoping this is not just a paycheck for him.
The Great Gatsby in 3D. I wonder if that's going to be a paycheck for him. Which movies is he phoning it in?
I did not like him in Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, I thought he was really good in that.
He was okay in Inception, but it's like he got blown away by the rest of the cast, is what I feel.
Oh, really? That's an interesting thought. I thought he held his own on that as well.
I felt the rest of the cast was, he was okay, but for, I've seen him do better. Mm-hmm. I thought, in Romeo and Juliet, he was fine. He was very good in that one. I thought.
Yeah, he was alright in that, which is by Baz Luhrmann as well.
Yeah. So, compared to that, he's like, yeah, you can do better, Titanic, I don't see it.
Titanic, I think he was miscast. Like, I don't even blame him. I just like, you're taking one of the most voluptuous women in cinema at that time.
Yeah.
Like, that woman has curves and she's beautiful, but she has womanly curves. You know, she that's what makes her beautiful. And you're like, and I'm going to couple you with a guy with the body of a 13-year-old. Like, it looks creepy.
Yes, creepy is a good way of putting it, yes. But yeah, I didn't think he was great in that. So that's why I think, it's kind of uneven,
Yeah, I will say I hated him in Men in the Iron Mask. I thought he was terrible.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't see that one.
He was the only one who would not take either a French accent or a British accent. And he's doing, a Three Musketeers story.
Oh.
So you'd have these Shakespearean actors like Jeremy Irons and whatnot, like doing this whole thing with like a slight British accent because that's their normal accent, but like making a point of pronouncing every French name in French.
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, I don't know, D'Artagnan. And then be like, oh, God.
Isn't he like the king? So doesn't he have to not pronounce things properly? He doesn't need to. He's the king.
I guess so.
He's showing contempt to people.
Well, you also have Tobey Maguire as Nick Carraway.
Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my god.
All right. Can we just stop here and talk about Tobey Maguire as Nick Carraway? No.
No. He cannot play sympathetic. I'm sorry.
He is kind of Weasley in his performances. I don't know what it is about the guy.
No, unless he plays a nerd, he's not sympathetic.
Well, I even was disappointed with his performance as Spider-Man, to be honest. Like, when they announced him, I was like, oh yeah, he kind of looks like a nerd. That's going to work out. And then when he played it, I was like, I want to punch you. I don't want to punch Spider-Man. This is disagreeable.
No, you didn't want to punch Spider-Man. He had the mask. You didn't see him.
Well, in Sam Raimi's version, he takes off the mask every 5 seconds.
That's a good point.
Which is why when they did the remake, The Amazing Spider-Man, the reboot, everybody like, oh, he always takes off his mask. It was like, yeah, he's been doing that for 3 or 4 movies now.
Yeah. Oh, Tobey Maguire. I swear to God. That's, I guess, who could we have cast instead of him?
Anyone. Like, take a much less charismatic actor that brings less personality but more likability to him. Like, any TV actor could have done it.
Good point.
Okay, just so you guys get an idea of why we think Tobey Maguire doesn't work and why we're not the only ones here. This is not about like, oh, I don't like his face. No. Life of Pi.
Yeah.
The author that interviews Pi was played by Tobey Maguire originally. They shot every scene. And then Ang Lee looked at it and went like, well, all I see is Tobey Maguire, and it's sort of annoying me.
Really?
Because Tobey Maguire is a charismatic actor, but he also has a creepy vibe.
Yes.
And you have this character that's supposed to be, in Life of Pi, this sort of background character who's just there to make Pi talk. He's not supposed to be a real character per se, until the end when he makes a sort of a philosophical musing that frames the movie.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to be sort of erased and background. And Ang Lee looked at it and was like, well, all I can see is Tobey Maguire. He's just too charismatic.
Yeah, he does have a presence.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to notice Nick.
Exactly.
You're really not. So, any young actor that kind of disappears in the background would be fine. But, Tobey Maguire, you see Tobey Maguire. He's there, So, yeah, that's a bad choice. And he's going to be in 3D. It's even worse.
Yeah, no, if you can't have the writer in Life of Pi be played by Tobey Maguire, you cannot have Nick Carraway, who's essentially the same character, be played by Tobey Maguire.
Indeed.
Alright, who else do we have? We have, who's playing Tom? We have Joel Edgerton. You might remember him from, The Thing remake. Amongst other things.
Oh, wow. That's why I don't remember him. I blocked that from my mind.
Now, see, no, but he's a good actor. I like him.
Okay.
Here's the thing about Joel Edgerton. A better Nick Carraway than Tobey Maguire.
Yes, I agree. Just looking at his picture, he's nondescript. I could see that, Okay, he needs to shave a little bit, but perfect Nick Carraway right there.
He has enough of a subtle personality that you can follow him throughout. He is a charismatic actor, but he's not overwhelmingly charismatic the way Tobey Maguire is.
Yeah.
And I know he looks awkward, Tobey Maguire, and we keep going like, wow, that guy is the most charismatic person in the world. But he is, all right?
Yeah, he is. He can be awkward and charismatic too, It's just, it's just the way you present yourself, and he has it.
All right, Carey Mulligan is playing Daisy. Now, Carey Mulligan is a terrific young actress who stole the show in An Education a couple of years ago. British actress.
Okay.
She's the one where I'm like, yes, I see it. But that's mostly because Daisy could be played by anyone and might as well get a good actress to do it.
Good point. I would have taken Emma Stone. That would have been fun.
You laugh, but I would have seen it.
Just the voice might have been distracting a little bit for Daisy. That's, a girl named Daisy. I don't expect her to sound like she's been chain smoking for 30 years. But besides that, it's...
Although she would have. I mean, back in the day, everybody smoked.
Yeah. Still, it's Daisy. Daisy sounds delicate. It's not... I don't expect, I do like Emma Stone, don't take me wrong. She's a great actress. It's just, not what I see.
Oh, that's pretty much the main cast, I guess.
There's Elizabeth Debicki, who plays Jordan Baker, but she has no role in the book, so why would we care?
I mean, the rest of them are just like random party goers that nobody gives a crap about.
Yeah, exactly.
No, the real star of this movie, let's face it, is Baz Luhrmann, the director of Romeo plus Juliet and Moulin Rouge!
Okay.
Directing The Great Gatsby. He's a frenetic director who does not like to keep things calm.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, because if you take a director who's going to keep things calm, you're going to end up with The Great Gatsby that we just poo-pooed on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a calm story with a director who's not calm. That often leads to a rather entertaining result.
Wow, that's a good point.
But is he the kind of director that's going to catch on the subtleties of making the whole thing feel like a forgery without it being a forgery? Because yes, he'll make the whole thing feel like a forgery. I mean, we've all seen Moulin Rouge and Romeo plus Juliet. None of it feels real.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the dude moves his camera a lot, and he's probably going to have these effects that are going to look cool in 3D. But is that not going to distract us from the characters? And this is, again, to a certain degree, a character piece or a statement on the failure of a character piece, if you will.
But if it distracts us from the character piece, that's where it's going to fail.
Oh!
So maybe. We'll see, 3D!
3D! What are you gonna film in... what's gonna be in 3D in The Great Gatsby? It's okay, spoiler alert, people. Gatsby is floating in his underwear in the water. His underwear is gonna pop out a little bit out of the screen. What are you gonna do?
You think this one will F with the original?
The original. Do we mean the source material or the Robert Redford mess?
Both.
I think it better damn well mess with the Robert Redford mess.
Yeah, because it was a failure. That movie failed. So, yeah, mess with that one.
Yeah. As for the source material, you know what? Mess with it, please. If you can get the spirit of it.
Yeah.
And the only way you're gonna get to it is by messing with everything else, go for it, man.
Yeah, I agree. Completely.
Alright, so if you have any questions, comments, if you actually like the Robert Redford Great Gatsby and you want to explain to us why we're wrong, hey, I want to hear it. I genuinely do.
You're wrong because Robert Redford is hot. That's why you're wrong.
He is, though. I don't deny that.
Oh, yeah. I remember all the girls squeeing when they saw it, when he first appeared. I was like, he's okay. I'm not jealous.
My girlfriend at the time had an extreme hatred of all blonde people.
Yeah.
So she was like, I don't see it. But like that's because like she pathologically hates everything that's blonde.
Oh, nice.
It's really funny.
Anyway,
you can write us at mail@idiomatic.com or post a comment at idiomatic.com. We are also on Twitter. We are also on Facebook. We are also on iTunes. If you want to post a review of our podcast, we would be so grateful. And until then, we will search for more original movies to either praise or spend like 40 minutes poo-pooing.
exactly.
That doesn't happen often, like honestly.
Yeah.
This is the first time, I think.
Yeah, we tried to do some positive stuff on it, but we tried to look at the positive and the negative. They happen to be more negative.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
There you go. Alright, see ya guys.
You forgot the first rule of remakes, Jill. Don't fuck with the original.
Hey everyone, welcome to Don't F with the Original!
With Nicholas, I am the gaming correspondent for Idiomatic.
And I am Dimitri, editor-in-chief of Idiomatic and film critic. And today we are talking about the movie that came out before Baz Luhrmann's 3D extravaganza, The Great Gatsby. We are, of course, talking about The Great Gatsby with Robert Redford.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Can you describe the plot?
Yes, I can describe the plot. The Great Gatsby is the story of a dude named Gatsby, who's a mysterious guy who throws cool parties.
Yep.
And all he wants, really, is to nail that one chick that lives in the hill next door.
Yeah, across the lake, I think. Doesn't she live across the lake?
And she lives across the lake. Well, the way it's described in the book is that there's a lake that separates two hills.
Oh, okay. Cool.
The movie places more emphasis on the lake than the hills, and that's probably because it would have been really hard to find two hills that match the description.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And he's sort of this dude who was not very rich before and became rich after the war.
Yeah.
And now he's trying to impress her with these parties, but it's so vain, the lifestyle of this woman, these socialites. They just go to these parties and they don't care anything, and then they leave. And they're empty, and they're bland, and they're this dude who's our point of view character, who befriends Gatsby, but doesn't really understand him. And then things happen, and he doesn't understand anymore, and neither do we, so we don't give a flying fuck.
Exactly. It is scary that our point of character is the only one that even takes the time to know Gatsby at the party.
Yeah.
Even once he meets him, I'm looking for Gatsby. He's like, that's me. You're like, oh, sorry. Yeah, Gatsby throws the parties not because he likes the parties, just to impress maybe try to attract the girl. And,
it's Daisy, right?
Daisy, yeah. Who's married to Tom now.
Yeah.
This was a weird movie for me.
Mm.
Because you described The Great Gatsby as this great novel with all the imageries and, well written, and it's great because of the way it's written.
Yes.
I don't see how that could translate in the movie. It looked good. It looked spectacular. It was well shot. That's the only thing I could say. It looked good. It looks like appropriate for the time. But I did not see the imagery that was all in the book that you mentioned. It's just weird.
Yeah, no, that's the big problem with it. A little bit of context for those of you who haven't heard me rave about The Great Gatsby in the Dreamer's Edge podcast. Here's the thing about it. The Great Gatsby is one of my favorite novels. It's a modernist novel by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and what it is, it's modernism on paper. Because the idea here is that you have this narrator who's like, I meet this dude, Gatsby. He's kind of interesting. I sort of kind of like him, I guess. But he never really gets to know him. He tries so hard, but it's just, even what he does know, he can't translate onto paper.
Yeah.
And it's the idea of how isolated we are because of the limitations of our point of view.
Okay.
This dude cannot describe Gatsby accurately because he doesn't know him enough, and also because Gatsby is sort of beyond words because he's at the